have dirty days, dude. You're gonna tic-tac and you're gonna talk. It's okay. Nobody's really watching, except for me. And the only way you're gonna get board skills is by going out there, not caring what anyone thinks, and having fun. So I just try to trick everybody. Surf the top, the middle of the wave, and then you'll end up in the right spot. Eating shit is the fastest way to getting better. Everybody just needs to get out of their own way. It's not about surfing perfect all the time.
But do any of your clients struggle with paddle?
Like 90%. 80%, I passed it off to a couple clients and they love it. They said it's like when they go and surf again and they didn't lose anything. If they're not surfing, they should be paddling on your device.
Is there anything worse than missing the wave of the day because you're too tired to paddle? Do you struggle with paddle power? So the solution is simple. Use the Basis Paddle Trainer just 10 to 20 minutes a couple times a week and you'll transform your wave count and your paddle power. It perfectly simulates the biomechanics of paddling on a surfboard. Unlike elastic resistance bands, this thing actually works. Don't believe me? Hundreds of surfers have already transformed their paddle power. Just ask these guys.
I'm literally doubling my wave count. I hadn't been surfing for about 4 months. I went on this trip, surfed 8 days straight, 4 to 5 hours a day.
Basically quadrupled my wave count.
Your biggest limiting constraint is your paddle power and your most precious resource is your time. So training with the Basis Paddle Trainer is the single highest returning investment that you can make in your own surfing. It's your cheat code for more waves. So click the link in the description and we'll send you free resources to upgrade your paddle power. All right, welcome to the Basis Surf Podcast. We got a good one coming up. One of the best podcasts we did in the past year or so was with Adam Knox, and here he is to join us again. We're going to get super deep into his work with, well, first of all, his recovering from his accident, his work now with a lot of adult surfers. If you recall from the last podcast, we talked a lot about how he would work. He worked with a lot of the elite surfers in Southern California, guys that have made it onto the CET. And, Adam was also a pro surfer, free surfer as well himself. But obviously now he's primarily focused on his coaching. And we're going to go more into how he works with his adults and a bunch of stuff there. So first of all, thanks for joining again, Adam.
Yeah, no worries, dude. Thank you so much for having me back.
All right. Well, first, I think this is something everybody is curious about. How are you recovering? Well, first of all, not everybody knows that Adam did have a pretty gnarly accident. So why don't you tell us about your accident and tell us about how you're healing up from that now?
Yeah, so I ride dirt bikes. I've always ridden dirt bikes. It's like my passion, right? And I got my brother, Micah, actually bought me a new 250 and super fast, super fun. And I was having a great time. And I was actually getting ready for surfer cross, where they take like pro surfers, former, whatever. I think kind of like if you're a pro surfer, you're kind of always a pro surfer. I don't know if you're like a doctor. I mean, maybe I don't practice, but I think once a pro surfer, always a pro surfer, kind of, sort of. But so I get invited to these things. They're like kind of a benefit for Sonny Garcia. It's put on by rad people. And like Bruce Irons is there. I saw him break himself off. Everyone it's like life or death. So I was getting ready for that. And I'm getting pretty good. And then once you get to that certain level, you push yourself, And, one of the reasons I was riding like a ton then was because my brother had just passed, my brother Micah. And, people say they go surfing because, they can't, they don't think about their problems. They don't think about a lot of stuff. But for me, because it's second nature, right? I go out there and I can stand up on a wave, think about my problems and surf.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moto to me is like life or death. I can only think about the next double or the next tabletop or next rut or whatever. So that was really taking my mind off of it. But it's weird when you lose somebody, you kind of like, not saying like I wasn't being reckless or anything like that. I just wasn't afraid, like I already been through the gnarliest thing I've ever been through in my life, and I was the one that had to go in there and pull the plug. So it was like, fully like the brother's duty, like I didn't want to go. Nobody wanted to go. And I was like, you know what, give me 10 minutes. I'm going, so anyways, so I was riding a bunch, just keep my mind off of that and working, and my coaching's been, this is the best my coaching's ever been. I don't know if it's because I'm hurt and I'm out or whatever, or just I have like a better like gratitude for everything. Because before it's like, okay, I'm kind of surfing still, kind of pro still, whatever. And I do this to make money, but now it's like full on my passion. Like I get the chills. I don't know if you guys watch my Instagram or whatever, but if someone does something right that makes sense on the carved board or in the water or whatever, if they do it right and I know it hits all that and the energy's there and the mechanics are there, like I get like chicken skin. Not Hawaiian, but goosebumps, whatever. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I've been working with this little girl. Well, kind of jump around here. But this little girl, Elise, who kind of came from nowhere, had a backward stance. Her front knee was in, her back knee was out, and that's the hardest thing for me to work with. It's like a full, like she should be going the other direction the way she's set up.
Right.
Anyways, we got through all that stuff and got her on Hurley. So thanks to Brett Simpson, and we've been making every final. But yeah, I've been having so much fun with. And I don't have that many kids right now. I have mainly adults, but yeah. So sorry, jumping around a little bit. The accident, I talked to my brother in my helmet and I was like, the track was just redone. So when the track's redone, it's soft. And then all the faces have huge ruts in them. So you have to hit that rut with both wheels or you get cross rutted. So you like this and you get sideways. And as I was going at this like 45-foot, after I just talked to my brother, I'm like, should I do it one more time? And everyone knows one more time is a bad time. Usually.
Right.
And skaters, they'll say hamburger. They won't say one more time. They say hamburger. At least my good skater friends. I don't know if that's like a world-renowned thing or not, but in my head, I heard, yeah, dude, go for it. So I did it, and this guy went in front of me, and he's going fast enough to clear it. So I'm like, okay, I can follow him. And then he checked up. So when he checked up, I went wide to wait for him because I still have the power to get there and get over it. But I came in like this. I carved into it. My front wheel went into a rut over here. My back wheel was in a rut over here. And I blipped it. And in the air, I was just going completely sideways. So imagine going 45 miles an hour straight, like 10 feet in the air. And then you're turned sideways at 90 degrees, right? And then this is where like the surfing kicks in. I was getting like launched over the jump into the parking lot pretty much. So I was looking down at this guy sitting on the fence. He had a white shirt on, he had black sunglasses and a straight head. I remember it like just photographic memory because my life was about to end. So I couldn't ditch my board. So my bike. So like in surfing, like if you were behind me and I had a duck dive, right? Or if I wanted to bail, if you were behind me, I wouldn't. I'd take it. So my first thing was like, okay, I'm going to bail. And I was like, oh shit, I got to take it. And to land 90 degrees, the bike just went boom. I held on as tight as I could. It went bang, and it blew my arm. So it shattered the head of the humerus, ripped every single ligament and tendon off. Oh. And it put this part of my humerus into my chest. So I almost died.
Oh.
My own bone.
Oh my God.
And I was trying to explain to the guys afterwards. I sent you a picture like they're talking to me. I'm like, dude, my shoulder's out. They're like, no, it's broken. I'm like, dude, I think it's out. I'm like, I see it. I move my arm like this, but my shoulder was down here and my humerus was in here. And then my leg from being on the peg like that just blew out, both tib and fib out, compound fractured that as well. That didn't even hurt. I'm known for having like a pretty gnarly pain tolerance. And it felt like I got picked up by, I don't know if you guys watch like, the Avengers or whatever, but the Hulk picks the guy up, Lakey, and he goes, and you bang, 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 bang. That's what it felt like. And it sat me up at like the side of the quarter pipe or the tabletop. And I was sitting like the momentum sat me up. And then I slowly went to fall off 10 feet. So then I fell 10 feet straight down. And I tried to stop it with my leg that was already compound fractured. And my leg was like, and I was like, all right, either my phone is broken because I had my phone in my boot for like Strava, and then I could feel the wetness and the sting, and I'm like, okay, that's compound. That's like one thing I didn't want to do. Like, I didn't want to do that, and I also don't want to break my jaw. But I've pretty much done everything except for breaking my jaw, so hopefully that doesn't come about. But yeah, so I just figured physics wise, I probably could have pushed myself back because the bike weighs 250 and whatever, but I was pretty close to the guy, so I just took it for the team. And I thought I was going to be all right. I breathed it off, and yeah, I wasn't all right.
Yeah, it sounds super gnarly. It doesn't sound like something you're going to easily just walk away from. But it seems like you're recovering well now. I mean, you're walking around, you're almost normal, right? Like, where are you right now in your recovery?
Almost. So for the whole, I think it's been like 7 months. This whole time, so for like the last month or two, I've had a limp. Like, I couldn't press off the toe. I think it's called like drop foot or whatever. But just the nerves. So every time I'd get up, like I'd sit down like for like 5 seconds and I'd get up and the pain would be in a different spot because I just decimated my bones, right? Like in 13, 14 places. We have the photo. I don't know if we'll put it up or not, but There it is. And yeah, I'm like, dude, I'm like, why is this pain so transient? You know, and they're like, my PT Mitch, who's like one of the best body workers I've ever been with and became a best friend of mine. He's like, because you've shattered everything, Adam. Like, just chill.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's just been a hard thing. But I stepped into a box jump, like step planted, did a 180 jump onto like a 30-inch thing the other day just to prove one of my little crap talking little students, Drake, and just to show him I could do it. And I did it, but now I'm sore from that. So I've been lifting, doing core, and doing a bunch of breathing stuff as well, and doing everything I can.
Right. Well, that's good to hear that you're on the mend. I mean, like I would imagine going through that kind of experience when you come back to, like I'm curious what it's going to be like when you get on a surfboard again, and it's going to you're going to have to relearn how to surf in a way. And I almost feel like that's going to be that's actually going to give you a really deep insight into the way, what it's like for a lot of surfers that are trying to learn how to surf, because you're going through that whole process again and you're figuring that whole thing out, and it's going to be interesting. Or probably you're just going to jump back on your surfboard and you're just going to be shredding again,
Yeah, so I don't know, dude. As long as I can handle the pain. That's all about if I can go through it. I ripped off a couple muscles, like in my inner thigh, some adductors, and they'll still hurt. But I think right now, if someone were to push me in, I can pop up. I'm doing 16 push-ups per set, on the ground and everything else. And the only thing I'm having a hard time with, is lifting the arm up. It doesn't really want to go. It'll go, but there's a supraspinatus, the infraspinatus that need to work on, but everything else is coming together. But
I got you, man. I'll push you into some waves. Don't worry.
I need a full on push the coast. But yeah, so I don't think it's gonna be that. If it is, that'll be odd to me because I'm riding the Carver, and
that feels the same.
Same thing. Yeah,
that's sick.
My arms too low.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, do this. I'm like, film it, so I'm not giving you the wrong information. And I look at it, I'm like, okay, do that, but do it better than that. Keep your arm up,
Yeah. That's interesting.
Check it because it looked pretty bad.
Nice. So, all right. Well, I'm glad to hear I'm sure you're going to be back soon. I'm absolutely sure that you got the. You're not the kind of guy that's going to quit. So you're already on the mend. Your arm is coming back. Your body's coming back. You're already on the Carver. So that's great to hear. And I would imagine as well, it's renewed focus on what you do as a coach as well. Because it's just going to be you're 1,000% into that, which is inspiring to hear. So why don't we get into kind of that shift into working with a lot more of adult surfers? How's that different versus working with young competitive surfers or up and coming surfers?
It's pretty similar. I got a lot of guys that are really dedicated, and they've all become my work is hanging out. It's all my, I don't know if it's because my brother passed or whatever. God, my brother, I've met so many cool people, and say Elisa's dad, he builds airplanes for fighter planes and stuff like that for Northrop, and then my other clients, one of the best attorneys, I look up to these guys and they look up to me. So we have a really cool synergistic thing and we're good friends. So I want them to be the best they can be, and they know that. We talk throughout the night, and I think about all my students, and things click when I'm at home. I go, okay, this is gonna work, and then I go the next day and it works. So I've been on I don't know, dude. My percentage is pretty high right now with figuring things out, and it all goes back to physics. I'm not a mathematician whatsoever, but it's all about in Oppenheimer. He's like, dude, but you may not be the best at math. Oppenheimer wasn't, but he could hear the music, so I can see it, and being able to see it makes you be able to play. So yeah, my strike ratio is 99% right now. We're getting things done. I'm super stoked on the program.
So why don't you explain some of the work that you've been doing? Or because I would imagine when you're working with young surfers, it's a little different because their brains are just so plastic, and it seems like they just pick things up much easier. But then with, adult surfers, they might have, bad habits that are already formed and all these kinds of things? Or do you find it's the same? Do young surfers come in with all these bad habits and it's the same thing as an adult surfer? Maybe it is the same. You're the expert here, so I'm curious.
Yeah, it's kind of the same. The biggest hurdle probably is I I have a hard time like telling these adults that I look up to as well, like in their profession, you know, like because they're the best at what they do, a lot of these guys, and to like kind of, you know, take that mentor role, but that's my job. So I got to keep that out of my head and like, and treat them like I would anybody else, you know, like I'm trying to teach, my program is just the same program I would teach with any other pro, right? But there's so many other hurdles. And what I've been doing with adults is a lot of them are coming to me already like signed up with all these other programs, you know, and these programs, you know, they're not wrong. You know, I'm not going to name the programs, but the ones you can like you subscribe to and all that stuff, they're not wrong, but they're not built off an individual, you know, like, okay, that works for you. And yeah, that might be an efficient way to do it. But for this person, it's completely different. You know, they might have something that's physically wrong or they're afraid or something like that. So that stuff is cool to have. But I just had somebody, one of my clients, like get rid of like 10 subscriptions. I'm like, dude, you got too many coaches in your head. Like, I got you, you know. And what I've been doing with adults too is taking steps backwards, put them on a bigger board and like, look, you got to feel the energy. You know, you have to be able to bite in and surf like top of the wave to like mid wave and just kind of stay there. And when that wave, the gravity's trying to push you down, you need to bite in to push back. But this pushing back and forth and holding this energy and seeing that energy be held, like, you know, and used everywhere is huge. So what I'm having my adults do is back off the bottom turns, smaller bottom turns, mid face top turns. And because everyone's coming to me like with like, you know, perfect, you know, hinging technique and all that stuff. But when they're that hinge and that like whatever, every bump they take, they're taking it and they're absorbing it. Surfing's all about pushing. You want to push into it. Like, so if you had like a bar of soap and you're squeezing it, right, there's energy coming from all around. That thing wants to shoot out this way. So if you can use, you know, the wave's energy of pulling up and bite into that, and then the wave wants to push you down, you bite into that even more, then you're going to want to accelerate forward. But I had everybody kind of doing like, okay, here's a proper bottom turn, but they're going out into the flats and losing it. So I just backed everything up, stay mid face, shorten the bottom turn, elongate the top turn, and then roll that back into a bottom turn mid face and get back into the energy. You just want to be able to harness the energy and just keep it going. Once you break form or whatever, you lose it all, and you have to go back into it to even get that. So it's all about keeping the energy through the whole wave. And if that's just getting, you know, speed is the key to everything. You can go fast, you can do a turn. So just going back, you know, to all you adult learners out there or whatever, just worry about like, you know, high lines and staying mid face and, you know, smaller bottom turns and, you know, little down carves, that kind of stuff. And once you get that going, then I can do so much with you. But, you know, like another thing too is like all these adults come and, you know, they've missed the playing stage, right? Like as a kid, you play around forever. And when you play around, you step on your tail, you try airs, you do all this stuff because there's no one judging you, right? I think a lot of these adults feel judged and they want to be the best, and you can see they get freaked out and they don't feel like the ocean, like that, like they belong there. It's like they don't have a right to be there, you know. And I understand that, you know, you got to follow the rules and etiquettes and all that stuff. But if you're doing that and you're with me, it's all good, you know. But I feel like they have such a like, I don't know if it's ego or whatever, but there are some like blocks where it's holding them back. So what I'm starting to do now, which will kind of be a different subject, but I have dirty days, dude. I've been teaching my guys. Yeah, I've been having my guys like, look, dude, today you're just gonna go out there and you're gonna tic tac and you're gonna hop and you're gonna do all these things, but you got to know when to hop. Like if you're going out the back of the wave, hopping will get you into it. It's not clean, it's dirty, right? And once you hop, you can only hop so long before you reach a terminal velocity where you need to switch to side, S turns. After S turns, you have to go like this. So you have to know when that's going to come. Like everything has to work together synergistically or you're just like, you're going to stall out. So imagine I was pumping down the wave and then I start hopping. All I'm going to do is stop, you know?
Yeah.
So just bringing it back and getting dirty days and then just and allowing them like, hey, it's okay. Like nobody's really watching, you know, except for me, and I'm the only one that you need to impress. So go out there, do what I'm saying, and we can get through this much quicker.
No, that's funny. Wait, so you know, let's kind of like get into that a little bit more, because I really like this concept of like surfing dirty. You know, I think because of this concept of like, it is weird. Like when you're surfing, you kind of feel like you're in this theater, you're like in this stadium, right? And you have everybody just watching you. And that to an extent is true, right? And as a result, you become so fear of getting judged that it holds your surfing back. And then you try to do everything perfectly. But then when you're trying to do everything perfectly, it makes you really hold back, and it makes you scared to fail. And when you're scared to fail, you're not going to get better, right? The only way to get better is by like pushing yourself and acting. Sometimes you're going to look like a kook, but like you gotta blow the wave sometimes if you're going to try something new and like push yourself. So it's like, I really like that idea of like, just like letting go of the ego and just trying harder. I think a lot of people, this is something that I struggle with as well. I'm just like, you're like, like so much of surfing. I think the tricky thing is like, when you look at a lot of good surfers, they look incredibly effortless. They look like they're not trying hard, which is, of course, I think that is the ultimate expression of it. But you can only do that after you've truly mastered that art, and you can go hard and then you can pull it back. But you need to understand like the entire spectrum, right? You need to like push too hard. And then after you're like, okay, that's too far, then you can like chill out and you can be like, all right, what is the actual amount of energy that I need to use, right? So I think I like that approach.
Yeah. So like when you like, I call it like dirty days, whatever, you can call it whatever you want, but I will like be like, hey, look, dude, I don't want to see anything but, you trying to stay in the pocket, create speed. And if you're going out the back, you're hopping like, and I want you to send it. But the thing is, you can't send it unless you have speed to get there. Right. So you need speed to get there. Speed is freedom. You got speed. That's all good. But yeah, I'll have days where just go out there and have fun. Because look at all of us that are good and been doing this for a long time, right? That feel like we belong there and all other stuff. It's like we played around so much that I know what every inch of these boards behind me, these Steve Boysons behind me, I know every inch of what they do by playing. I play. These guys, these adults don't want to play. They want to go out there and they're like, okay, I got to do exactly this. And yeah, sometimes when you're there, I want you to do exactly that. And I want you to, just go crazy. I want you to do exactly that. But you don't know what it feels like to step on your tail, to stall for a barrel. You don't know how, to get really low and like push through a turn until it skips out. You don't know. If I were to buy a truck, right, I'm going to hit the gas. I'm going to see how it accelerates. I'm going to see how the brakes work, right? I'm going to see what the steering does. Like, I mean, that's what you got to do to be a good driver and be a safe driver. You got to know what you can and can't do. And these guys are clueless because they are just getting up and doing what they've heard on the internet and everything else, trying to be perfect when surfing is imperfect, like until you get to that level. And even when you get to that level, there's still more perfectness that's going to come, I don't know if that's a word or not, but perfection. And yeah, dude, I think it's just, I see my adults struggle with it, and I see them come in defeated, and I'm like, dude, like I'm the only judge and jury, no one else really exists. And that's hard to get past. I understand. But another part of coaching and being a good coach is being able to break into the psyche, and let them know that I'm actually there for them. And what I'm doing to you, regardless if you like it or not, it's going to work. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so just even jerking it up on the Carver, like going, like figuring out how to tic-tac, figuring out how to get on your tail real quick and back, because they know how to write it and go through all this stuff. But I'm like, okay, step on your tail. And they're like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, dude, you got to be able to step on your tail. It's just lift up the front foot, stomp on the back foot, stomp on the back foot. And you can do that on your carpet, whatever, but you need to have board skills. The biggest thing I'm seeing with these adults, they don't have board skills. They don't know what their board does and can't do, and so on and so forth. And they think they're chalking it up to, being a bad surfer, but it's not. It's just they skip the evolution of playing.
Interesting. What do you mean by talk a little bit more about them not having board skills? What do you mean by that exactly?
Okay, so like how many adult learners have you seen be able to do like a chop hop? Okay, it's a stupid maneuver. We all learned it when we were kids. It's a backside 180 on a skateboard, right? And once you're backwards, then you can ride backwards for a while. You can feel that. And if you want to come back around, you turn your head, you put the weight back on the fins, and the thing's going to spin around. But that's probably like the easiest way to put it. It's like all us kids, the kids kind of nowadays don't do it, you know, or someone did it the other day and he was like, you see that? And I'm like, yeah, but it's a novelty thing. Like we all learned that, you know? So just playing around and with board skills, it's just like, can you tic tac? Can you take a high line? Can you do any of this stuff? And again, like if you wanted to break the fins free and fall on your back, that's fine. You know, I'd rather you fall on your face, but let's test the thing out. And the only way you're going to get board skills is by going out there, not caring what anyone thinks, and kind of having fun. You know, trying 360s, trying floaters, that kind of stuff. Floater, you just stay high and you ride onto the lip like you would like a grind or anything else.
Yeah.
So again, it comes back to carving. You can learn that stuff there. I know there's, some people don't believe in it, but I'm telling you right now, 100% surf skates and carvers to me, right there, it's probably one of the best tools you can use, you know, and then that's easier because you get the adult by themselves in a parking lot or a skate park, an uncrowded one, so we don't all look like kooks. And you go through the motions, right? But dude, I swear to God, just getting like them to be able to tic tac from a pause position, get their speed up, turn that into rail to rail, so an S turn, into like a full on thing, into a bottom turn, that right there, like when you know when to switch from that to that, this is going to reach a terminal velocity where if you keep tic-tacking, you're not going anywhere. You're going to actually slow down. That's going to S turns. And this one has so much speed. After that, then you have to go into full, pumps. So those are just board skills right there you can learn on a carver, and I've been I went past that because, it was a mistake on my part. I've just kind of figured this out recently. I'm like, dude, the main thing is board skills, so like get dirty, figure out what your board can do, and then like be a part of your board. Like,
yeah, for sure. Well, let me go back earlier to something you said before you kind of jumped into this discussion of surfing dirty, which I thought was interesting. Because you said something that, I mean, I agree with to a large extent, but you were saying that you want people to surf more mid-face, which I thought was very interesting. And I'm assuming that you're saying that just because, your clients are dropping to the bottom of the wave and just losing out on speed and getting stuck, right? But like, maybe dive into that a little bit more? Like, just why would you surf mid-face? I guess, well, this is the thing. This is the reason why you need a coach, right? Like, it really depends where you are in your progression, right? If you're trying to go top to bottom, then you want to go down so you can go up. But for a lot of surfers, they drop to the bottom of the wave and they're just stuck there, and they don't have any speed and they can't do anything, right? So, yeah.
They stay there. So yeah, if you can get up and bite in like kind of right away, like roll over, it's all about getting over. So if you can kind of put your head close to the wave, you'll roll your body over and you'll set your rail, right? It's all about setting that rail. Everyone drops in kind of flat, and then they do this, and then they're just stuck trying to work there. And like this high of the wave could be like 5 feet, and they're working this much.
Yeah. Right.
As a pro, I use everything. I'll go to the very, very top of the wave, and then right before it's about to throw me, I'll take off and get so much speed out of that. But I'll bottom turn like here on the wave, right? Where it's still sucking up, where you hear like Clayton say from on me, like this, it's sucking up right here. If you can bite in, you're going to get so much projection out of that. So I just try to trick everybody. I'm like, dude, you know what? Surf the top to the mid of the wave, and then you'll end up in the right spot, kind of like mid to like just below that. I guess that'd be like third or like fourth quarter or whatever. That's a little too low. Just above that is where you want to be. And then as you're biting in, you have the wave's energy, the energy that you're producing through your muscles and by your mechanics. All the energy comes together, and that push from the wave that wants to push you away, you push into that, and then you're both pushing into each other, and that's where the magic happens. That's where the energy is. That's where things are alive and they're pinging.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you're like tricking them into doing the right thing as well.
My job is like full on like deception. You gotta trick these people into doing the right thing for themselves.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, it's interesting because like really what it all comes down to, and all these things that you're talking about, right, is about either harnessing the energy of the wave itself, or then creating that energy, and that's where you're talking about these board skills, right? And then if you can combine harnessing the energy of the wave with adding in your own power to it, that's when you get really, the best surfing, right? And
yeah, I'd say board skills, and you can work on that, by playing in the water, right? messing around, just testing things out, really rolling over. Surfing's all about rolling from rail to rail. If you're here, your board doesn't want to do anything, and you're going to slow down. Rail to rail, if you can roll. But to do it, board skills, you can use it biplaning, like I was saying, or you can do it on the Carver as well. Probably use the Carver first, and then do that, and then surf the wave, then the whole wave, right? And then after that, you have speed. When you have speed, you have freedom.
Right.
And once you have speed, you can lay down anything you want.
Yeah.
So instead of going, hey man, surf like me, surf like my brother, surf like, whoever, it's not that. They're not there yet, because everyone's coming to me with like a perfect hinge back and everything else. And they want to lift up when, like they want to lift up to climb, but it's actually a push down and a roll over to climb. So I think probably the biggest misconception that I've seen with adults and kids is that they want to lift when, like, I don't know if you've ever wakeboarded or whatever before, but as you're coming at that wake, you push down and you get an opposite and equal reaction up, right? Same with, like, if I wanted to jump on a trampoline, if I was going to absorb it all, there's no point. I want to push as hard as I can down again for that opposite equal reaction. So I mean, there's so much physics at play here. I mean, that's what it is. We live in this physical three-dimensional world, right?
Yeah.
Our world, there's more dimensions than that, but that's what we live in, and we gotta harness what it has to offer. And again, it's just, you see people going around that all the time. So if you can trick them into doing the right thing and acquiring speed, then you can work on turns and everything else. But I feel like a lot of us have the carriage in front of the horse type of thing.
For sure. So many surfers are focused on turns before they're even really ready to do it, right? Because before you can even focus on turns, you need to have the speed, you need to catch the waves, all that kind of stuff, right? And so
yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well,
the other thing too is like having the stamina. It all, you can go back and back and back, but yeah, it's like, I think for right now, like with what I've been doing, taking steps back has been like 4 steps forward.
What are some examples of taking steps back, some other ones?
Putting my guys on a little bit bigger board so they can actually feel the board push back into them and just ride the wave properly and higher and that kind of stuff, even if it's a longboard. If you can do that, then you go, okay, wow, okay, I'm feeling that pushback, I'm feeling that energy. And when you put them on a shortboard, they will most likely do that. And then now they have speed, and now I can tell them, okay, well, crack the thing. And my main thing is like falling forward. Like if your hips come forward, you're falling back. If someone was going to punch me, I'd be like, this is like, don't hurt me type of thing. But if you're coming at it, going forward and you're committed to it, going over the front, that's where you want to be. So I'd rather see my guys fall forward all the time than back. But if they're going to go play and they want to lean back and like do like a lean back or just lay into the rail and they fall back, that's fine too. That's why there's so many variables to this. I think it's really hard to have like an online program and live by that. You can't live and die by that sword. It's good to have and it's good to check out, but each person is an individual with their own stuff. And some people are scared. Some people have mobility issues. And what I do is I go in there and I find everything and I clean it up.
Right. I think that's the value in coaching, right? Because everybody is at a different stage in their progression, and depending on where you are in your progression, one piece of advice might be exactly what you need that's going to be kind of the big unlock. But at another point in your progression, that same piece of advice could like hold you back and get you stuck for a really long time, right? And
yeah.
I told, there's so many examples of that. I think, even this discussion of should you be surfing mid-face or should you be going to the bottom, right? Like it just really depends where you are in your surfing. So and I think it's really useful to get that feedback and that, that third person perspective, because you don't know what your blind spots are, Yeah.
So if you were to turn like off the bottom, like deep bottom turn, you're going to lose so much speed. But if you were to be mid-face and you do a short bottom turn, you're going to get that acceleration that you can turn into like a down carve or something like that, just like that. And then go back to the pocket and do it again and do it again. But if you're going, all right, I'm Taylor Knox, I'm going to go like this. And they go, like, and they come up like this and they just get lipped in the face over and over again. I'm not gonna name names, Dylan, but you, buddy. Check it out, dude. He's surfing mid-face and he's surfing really good.
Yeah, wow.
And he's dedicated. Like he means everything to him in the world. It's crazy to like people, a lot of my clients and just people are like, dude, you have this gift that you don't really use. Because like when I surf on my trips and I do that kind of stuff, and I'm hurt right now, but I'm not surfing all the time. I don't really like to be in like in the lineup battling and that kind of stuff, but they trip out on me like, dude, you have it, what I'm paying for, and you don't really even use it. But they don't realize it was my job for a long time, and I can take 5 months off, and if I train properly in the gym, it's still there, and use the Carver, I'm still good to go. Like every time you see like footage of me, that's like every 6 months.
Yeah. So what are some other common things that, you see a lot of surfers struggle with?
Well, there's that fear issue, but also just like, like lineup IQ, like I see guys that will start paddling. You really want to be like kind of inside and then move to it and then turn and go. These guys will kind of stay inside and they'll turn around, start paddling, and the wave will break on their head or whatever. So just learn us, but that's just something they need to do on their own, and it's pretty simple to figure out. But a lot of people get really spun out, and like I'll be like, hey, you got to surf off of me. I got the camera. I'm gonna be calling you in, and they'll be like this, like a mile this way, a mile that way. I'm like, hey, dude, I can't even see where you're at, like in front of me, and I'm right where the peak is, right? And then again, like another thing, like Clayton would say, would be like, okay, the bus stop, right? There's like a triangle of like where the wave breaks. You got to get to where that, get to where that first bus stop is, because if you're not there, you can catch the bus down the way. But I mean, just get there and turn around and go. And then also, like, I see a lot of people, they don't move laterally enough. They sit there and they wait, thinking that the wave is just going to come to them, and it's not. You got to be a hunter out there, not the hunted. So a lot with these adult surfers and these kid surfers, they're kind of the hunted. And you gotta, regardless if you think you belong there or not, you're gonna get a lot more respect hunting than you are hiding.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, that's one that, you just got to develop over, so much time, just like learning how to read waves, knowing when to, what wave looks good. So, you move towards it and all that. But I love that analogy of a hunter. That's how I think about it myself. And it's like, you have to like eventually, well, I think it just depends where you are again in your progression. In the beginning, I think you should just be hunting everything. You should be going after just every wave, but then as you get better, then you become like more of a sniper in terms of what you're hunting. You're like, I'm looking for this, I don't know, white-toed deer. That's the only one I'm going for, eventually, and you're going to ignore everything else, because you ignore the other one. The other ones are going to lead you on a merry goose chase, and you're going to end up going the wrong way, but sometimes then you got to mix it up. So it's like an interesting thing.
That was a perfect analogy. I'm going to have to steal that one from you. I'm going to have to steal that analogy from you, because I'm a sniper, and these other guys are just kind of hunter gatherers. You got to hunt and gather, and you just got to put yourself in the right spot, right? So my brother told me a long time ago, he's like, Mick is like Terminator. That waves and he sees numbers, because it's relative to how you surf, right? Mick's really good. Right. But everything's relative. So find a way that you can handle, get to the corner where it's soft enough to go if you're afraid of drops or whatever. But you got to go off of where your skill set is. But when you see it, instead of seeing numbers, because maybe you're not competitive or whatever, you're not competing, but you should be able to see like, okay, this thing's got a good line on it. Okay, this is going to be good. I'm going to get some good practice out of this one. But yeah, so that's just kind of like, you just got to go for everything, like you said. And a lot of my guys kind of sit there and wait their turn forever. And then it's all about establishing like your credit in the lineup, right?
Yeah.
If you're out the back, you paddle for a wave and you don't go, okay, you got one, you get one of those, all right? If you do that again, you're pretty much not getting a set that session, right? Right. You're going to go, you're going to get more respect for going over the falls.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know about much respect, but, and yeah, I don't know. You got to, more waves the better. You get wave count up and ride, you don't want to be just like taking off on bull crap, which happens. But you gotta hunt these things down.
Well, I mean, I think the whole thing though is, in order to develop that wave knowledge, so even what to look for to become a sniper, so that is a good wave, you need to like go for a ton of waves so you can learn, this is a good wave, this is a bad wave, right? That's really, I think that is something that's underrated. And I mean, the problem is you have to have the paddle power and the stamina to just go for a bunch of waves, but that's kind
of where the surf trainer comes in,
Yeah, that is true. I mean, do any of your clients struggle with paddling? I mean, is that a thing for them?
They like 90%.
Yeah.
80%.
80%. Yeah.
But I do have, you sent me one. Thank you so much. I have I passed it off to a couple clients and they love it. And it's been raining here, so they've just been paddling away. And they said it's like when they go and surf again, they didn't lose anything. So if I don't surf for a while, it takes me like, if I go on a trip and I haven't surfed in months or whatever, it takes me like probably like 4 or 5 days to get back to where I was, because I'm kind of fat and whatever else. But I have muscle memory. My sarcomeres are firing. These guys, it's going to take them a long time. So as long as if they're not surfing, they should be paddling on your device.
Yeah, right. I mean, because if you have like a 1 week trip and it takes you like, this used to happen to me. I would go on a trip and I wouldn't feel like I'm in paddle shape until the very end. You know what I'm saying? Well, what would usually happen is I would surf my brains out for 1 or 2 days, feel like I'm God. And then day 3 and day 4, I cannot like move. I was just like, oh my God. And then I would spend the rest of the trip just like out there, but just like in so much pain, and just like struggling. And then by the end of the trip, then I finally recover. I'm like, okay, I think I'm in shape, but then it'll be the end of the trip. And I'll just be like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? And it's like,
yeah.
So the whole thing for me was I needed to design something where I can skip that whole process. I roll up and I'm in shape. So
how do you, I know this podcast is supposed to be about me, but how do you even come up with this? And how do you get it to feel as natural as it does?
Yeah, the problem was I just struggled with it myself. So I went on this Mary Goose chase. It took 3 years to figure it out. And, so much of it was just like nuancing the fine details just to like, dude, like the paddles took forever. Like every little aspect of it just took forever to design. But like, I went for, this summer, because obviously launching a business is super busy. Like I didn't surf from May till August, mid-August. I didn't get to surf. And then I went to the wave pool in Edinburgh. We should talk about wave pools in a little bit, but went to the wave pool in Edinburgh, which is a wave garden. In wave garden technology, after you finish the wave, you actually have to paddle all the way back out. So you're basically paddling for an hour straight for those sessions. But then
doesn't pull you out like a rip current against the wall.
There's a slight rip, but it is really not that much. So you're paddling for an hour straight because you're really not waiting. But the pro versus like surfing at Waco is you get literally 20, 25 waves per session, as opposed to, Waco, you get like 7 or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how many you get, but I always poach on the way back out because you can see. Well, another thing too, like just as we're on this, like, and this goes for everybody that's out there learning and as a kid or whatever. Watch people's eyes, watch people's body language. That you got to read. My girl Elise could have won this final the other day at Southwest Open at Oceanside Pier, and there was 2 girls that are over to the side, right, that had the right of way, but you could see in their face, in their body language, they were not going. And then they did that. Next one, and then she did it. I'm like, dude, you got to read them. Like, those girls were not going. You had to go, and you would have won that final. She had a 7 and a 1, and that wave was better than her 7. So read you can see it in their eyes, dude.
Yeah. What I was going to say is like at the wave garden, you have to do a ton of paddling. Yeah. So you have to do so much paddling. So I went from 6 months of not surfing to, I think I surfed around 8 sessions over 2 days pretty much. So like I ended up paddling for 8 hours and I caught nearly like 150 waves. And I went from like 6 months of no surfing to doing that in like two days, like half day, full day, half day. The thing they gave out is actually I like slipped, my foot slipped and I hurt my leg, not my shoulders running.
Really? Out. So with all that, you were fine? Because like I'll do like 3 sessions probably in a day at like Waco or Palm Springs. Palm Springs is my new favorite training ground. I'm doing a bunch of day trips and like 3-day trips and camps and stuff. Well, people can DM me for that. But dude, that wave's just so much more realistic. It's shorter, but it's more realistic. You can square up on it. I can't wait till I can surf that thing. I actually jumped in the other day with a broken arm. And stuck in the rip current, and I was just stuck out there. It was a good luck for me.
Dude, I bet you could surf with one arm. I remember I was in northern Sumatra, and I met this guy. He had blown out his shoulder, and he was just, like Bethany Hamilton surfs with one arm. You can surf with one arm, dude.
Yeah, I just gotta, as I'm swimming, if I roll over enough, I can get the arm over the top.
Yeah, right.
But I did this huge reconstructive surgery.
Oh, man.
I scarred pretty well, but...
That's it. Well, so that's the thing about the wave garden is you can't. It's hard to square up against that wave. The pocket is like kind of bends away from you, and it's really small, so it's like hard to get into that. Yeah, so it's kind of a weird wave, even though it has this like softer shoulder, so which is good for your cutbacks. You can do snaps and stuff on it, but it's a little tricky of a wave. But like, tell me more about like the wave at Palm Springs. You said you could like really square up and.
Yeah, dude. So it's just like a normal beach break, and the peak I think is pretty rad. You just drop in. There's a little bit of a ledge on it that you kind of like. So I tell my guys to kind of be on rail, so you can cut through that little ledge, and then obviously a board fits better this way or this way, right? Instead of just straight down. So you don't want to go straight down, but cut through and start the bomb turn on the way down, and then you'll be fine. But a lot of my guys get caught up right there. But there is no, like say at Waco, like there's like a little pocket, right? And it's back here. So when I try to square up, we've seen in like my footers before, I'll come like this off the bottom around, and I leave the pocket because I have to fade to come up straight, right? To surf like square. When I leave the pocket, that little suction cup right there, if you leave that, it's dead water. So I can barely get to the lip. This one you can tee off. Like there isn't a pocket like that. It's just a real wave that comes in. There's a reef that goes in like this. So like when the lefts come through, it hits that barrel. So you can backdoor the barrel when the lefts and rights. And then the other one is just like a setup thing, bang, wrap, and then air reverse at the end inside is like probably the best combination you could do out there. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I talked to Ellen McCaffrey, who I used to coach as a pro surfer on the CS, and Cole McCaffrey and Cade and all those guys, and they like it better. It's not as forgiving. It's not as easy. It's not really bending at you. It's not this wedge where Waco's a wedge. It's a wedging, and you can come out and have all this speed, which is cool. But it's also cool to be able to generate your own speed. So I'd say this one is actually more realistic and more. It's going to help you in surfing just way more.
Right. I mean, what do you think about? Because that was the thing that kind of blew my mind. Is like I went to the wave pool and I literally caught like 150 waves. And I think for progression, like surfing at a wave pool, being able to see your feedback, learning and like adapting your technique immediately, right, is like total game changer for progression. Like what are your thoughts for wave pools and working in wave pools with your clients?
Well, I have like 4 clients right now. If I were to go to Palm Springs with them right now, I could fix exactly what I needed to fix right then and there.
Yeah.
We go out and we surf, like say Oceanside Pier yesterday was hard, and I couldn't see what I needed to see. And she's going up to Morro Bay. We're practicing for that. But we surfed next to a pier because that's where she's going to be surfing. But I just showed her how to roll over and then stay rolled over. Like a lot of people want to roll over and then they want to pop up and then they want to go. I want to roll over and then roll over again without popping up and then drive through. And I could fix that right now at the wave pool.
Right. Because you just get so many reps. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I guess I send it like, dude, square up and get into that lip. And the only way you're going to figure out how to get up into the lip and bash the lip and all that stuff and figure your way out is by getting up there. Then your nervous system kicks in, everything kicks in. You go, okay, like that didn't work. Let's try it again. Okay, I felt that. I felt the bash and all this stuff. I got to turn my hips over. Got to point my nose down. I got to get over the front, and then got to make sure my nose doesn't bury. And then I got to bottom turn out of that. So it's just like it's probably one of the best learning tools, but. I don't know, man. I don't know. Definitely that for like progression. And then, but I have so much fun on like I have like 4 weeks of Nicaragua coming up like this summer. And that's like, we get super fun waves and super warm water and the camaraderie with the adults and all that stuff. Like I just end up making a bunch of best friends, and that's something that's rad. And you're out of the country and, there's nothing that's going to replace the ocean, just that
for
feeling.
Sure. Yeah.
But for like, strike missions and like 2-day things out there and stuff, it's so worth it. It's not even funny.
Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, the reason why we surf is like to be in nature and to have these like, almost spiritual experiences sometimes. But like, it doesn't mean you shouldn't go and, go to the pool and like really dial in your technique. I think
you can go refine yourself as long as you have someone there that can that knows what they're doing, and you can watch it. Like do a session. Do a video review with me. Do a session, do a video review with me. And after the video review, I can show you on the Carver right there. Everyone's super cool there. And yeah, it's just right there. Like it's just so compressed and just so usable. It's a joke. Like, but we already seen like pro kids or kids that are turning pro or going to be pro from wave pools. I mean, isn't that Brooks girl, like she's one of my favorite surfers. I always forget her first name.
Aaron Brooks.
Aaron Brooks. She came from a wave pool, right?
Did she? Oh, isn't she from Canada or something like that?
She's from Canada that moved to Hawaii, but I heard that she was refined in the wave pool. There's another little kid from Texas that learned everything in the wave pool. Aiden Nichols, I think, works with him. I forget his name too, but he rips, and I think it was all wave pool stuff. But then when you go to the ocean, you're not going to have any wave IQ. So you gotta have a balance with everything. Everything's balanced, dude.
Yeah, for sure. One final question, just because I'm thinking about, something you were saying now. You're talking about having your surfers ride bigger boards, all the way even to longboards. But like generally speaking, what is your perspective on and board advice for surfers? And obviously this is something that you have to tailor to the person and where they are in the progression. But are there any general misconceptions or issues, common things that you see, or little gems that you might mind sharing that you think people would benefit from?
You know me, man. I share everything. I think a lot of people are trying to keep these secrets, but it's so hard to figure out. Even if I tell you, it's like it's a process. I did an hour and a half on this one bottom turn by staying down and rolling over with Elise the other day, and it took that long. Like it's right there. It's like a wave pool. I'm right there. You're right there. I can yell at you. I can film it. I can show it to you. But yeah, so when it comes to boards, you want a board that can push back, and then also you want a board that you can catch waves with. If you're not catching waves, you're not surfing, right? And I'm not going to go like full on North Shore where I make them ride like a wooden board and then another board or whatever. I just want to get them on something where they can get their speed up, learn to surf the wave, and then once you can learn like to embrace and channel and harness the energy, then you can do whatever you want, right? But I'm not going to just put you on like a super short board. I want to do a step down of that. I want a board now that still is a little bit bigger, with some meat on it that allows you to turn and stuff. And Boysen just figured out something for me for like 3 of my clients. So they're coming out. It looked a little complicated for me, but he's like, dude, just trust me. And Boysen uses Shape 4 and he irons and like most of the momentum generation. And his son got cancer, so he disappeared and he was ghost shaping for Paizel, but now he's back. And yeah, man, he's one of the best. I rode for him when I was like 16. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he's got this board. It's a quad. I'm like, all right, this thing's gonna turn too. I'm not a shaper, dude. Like I can just tell you what I feel.
Yeah,
I don't know everything, but it's rad because my guys trust me enough to be like, hey, go to this guy because I can talk to this guy, the shaper, right? And me and him can work together because you don't know what you're doing. As long as I see it and I can tell him what I see and what I want, he can give me what I want, and then we have a surfer that can use it, and then I can see it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
interesting, nice, okay. Any last piece? So any other advice that you would give? How about this? What advice would you give to your younger self? When you were young and you were trying to get better at surfing, is there any piece of advice you wish you could have gone back in time and given to your younger self?
Yeah, shoot, I would. All right, so most of the problems that people have is they're not strong enough to stay in those optimal positions, right? So I'd go back and I'd tell myself to train because, I have my guys in there staying in that position and, till it hurts and doing thoracic rotations and doing all this other stuff. But you got to make those hard positions normal, right? You got to make it an everyday thing where you can stay there. So I'd go back and I'd tell myself to train, and then I'd go back and tell myself like, hey, dude, your brother's super famous. Doesn't matter. Just keep going. You're doing fine. Because I get into heats and stuff, and I was already surfing pretty good at this time, but I'd get into heats and like, oh, everybody's watching. I'd get up and I'd lock up. It took me until I hurt my knee to like, okay, I have an excuse. I'm going to surf at 60%. And when I started surfing at 60%, I made every final that year in the Pro Juniors. And so just to relax, surf the wave, and just go through the motions. And I don't know, I'd want to say almost like, don't like wear things so heavy too. I always took things so heavy, and really like you're thinking about people thinking about you more than they're actually thinking about you, type of thing. So I don't know. I was a pretty heady kid. I'm still a pretty heady person, which makes me a good coach, I believe. But yeah, just chill the F out, dude. It's coming, or it's not, but have fun doing it. And yeah, I don't know. I could talk about a lot of stuff that I should have done differently.
Well, I love that you brought that up though, because this kind of ties this whole podcast like full circle, right? We were talking about how your surfers, it's very common for surfers to just be in their head, being afraid to fail, and that's why they need to surf perfect, and because they're just scared of being judged, right? And like so much of this, I think the key, pretty much with almost everything in life, to be honest, is like just like leave your ego at the door and just like be willing to eat shit so you can get good,
Dude, eating shit is like the fastest way to getting better. So like how I realized that Elise wasn't getting any speed, I'm like, dude, you haven't taken any lips to the chest. So what I did to her, I tricked her, and I'm like, hey, figure out whatever way it is. You got to bite in. I want you to launch out the back. Bring your board with you and launch out the back. That's it. We did that for one day, launching out the back. I'm like, okay, now don't launch out the back and turn it into a turn, a lip bash or a rail turn or whatever it is. Bang, got it. So yeah, there's just, I don't know, everybody just needs to get out of their own way. It's not about surfing perfect all the time. Perfection will come, or whatever you want to call it. Good surfing is going to come. But yeah, dude, don't worry about what other people are thinking. Really just worry about what your coach is thinking, because this is a project that we're both on together. And my students represent me. So I want every single thing. Like it's funny because I've always been super competitive, like in surfing and everything else, right? But now I'm competitive in coaching. Like my guys represent me, and I want to beat people with my guys. With progression, if it's just progression or if it's a contest thing, that's my new thing, is just beating people with other people by proxy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Pretty American.
Yeah.
Like contra wars and everything else.
I love it. All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure having you on again. We'll definitely have you on another time, but I hope people got some value out of this. Why don't we finish up? Tell people what you got going on. I think you mentioned you got a trip in Nicaragua coming up. Like, how should people find you? What do you got exciting going on and all that?
Sorry, my table sucks, but yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm having so much fun. I'm traveling. Nicaragua has become like kind of a second home to me, and I've teamed up with some really cool resorts, and it's affordable. It's all inclusive. We'll have a couple boat trips, which take you to different breaks, that kind of stuff. But right at Plateaus, which is a good wave right there. And what we do is we surf all day, we get footage, and hopefully I'll be surfing with you guys as well. If I'm still not surfing, that's fine. But I'd like to go out there and show them who's boss. But yeah, so I want to do at least 4 weeks, like coming up, like during like the season coming up, maybe starting in like March. Do a couple with adults where it's like 4 to 6 to 8, max. And then I want to have like the better guys or whatever come a little bit later. Always a little bit bigger. I'm in talks right now with Two Brothers Resort over there, and I just keep hearing great things about them. But yeah, man, I don't know if it's because my brother passed away or whatever it is, but so many rad people I've just been surrounded with. I was getting rid of people, like, okay, I got to get these people out of my life. But so many good people have come into me. Like, it's crazy how much, I don't think it's pity, but I hurt myself, my brother died and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not a victim at all. But it was so cool to see all these people come out and help me with like GoFundMe and then all my family and all my friends and then all these people. I mean, I'm just having the best time meeting these people. So these retreats are the best places to like get to know these awesome adults from around the world and just keep the community going. And out there, you don't have to worry about anyone looking at you or any of that stuff, So that, and then I also want to do something here in California because we're all traveling away, but California is the Mecca. So I'm thinking about renting a house maybe in Cardiff, do a small thing there. And also, Palm Springs wave pool. I might do Waco again. That was kind of a pain, but, people like it there. But yeah, I got a bunch of dates coming up. So just DM me at Adam Knox _. I also have a TikTok. It's Adam Knox Surf, I believe. I really don't know how to use TikTok. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Are you doing dances on TikTok? Is that how you're blowing up over there?
I was going to try, but turns out people are already looking at me. I was hoping nobody would know me down there. But and also I want to give a special shout out to Breathe Degrees. So I've been doing the Wim Hof method for my recovery. So it's just down the street in Carlsbad here, and they open another place in San Diego. And my friend Tyler, I used to do it with him. He went and studied with Wim. So he's a Wim Hof master and a chiropractor. Anyways, he's got the sickest place. You can look up my Instagram. I just did a post. I just did 8 minutes in 43-degree water. And that was only, that's gnarly. And I felt so good. But you do this breathing thing that's like an hour long, and it's assisted by a coach, and it oxygenates your blood and gets everything going, and you like kind of hallucinate, and so it's super rad, and you feel so grateful afterwards. And all you feel is love and gratefulness and stuff. They have an IR sauna, which is amazing. That gets super hot, and it makes the cold plunge so much easier. But that's been a huge part of my recovery. Also, my PT guy, Mitch, a letterer, he's awesome dude, and just everyone that's helped me, my cousin Morgan, and all my family. But yeah, bad things happen to people, tragedy happens. But are you gonna give up? Are you gonna be the victim, or are you gonna be better? So my whole thing was to be better. And I think the reason why my brother told me to go off that jump, if it was my brother, was to break both my arm and leg and 2 weapons. And so I stayed out of trouble. But after he died, all I wanted to do was have more family and friends, and everything else was just bullshit. So I think it's made me a better person. And anyways, I want to share all this knowledge and love with everybody else. So yeah, please contact me. I'd love to have you on, and different trips. And I'm thinking about maybe El Salvador, but yeah, I'm going to get all this stuff situated. I probably should have had it done now, but you know me, I couldn't even get my mic to work. So
all right, dude, it was a pleasure having you on. I definitely recommend people reach out to you. Yeah, I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, bro. See you later.
All right.
Oh, and hey, if you guys are in the North County area, I'm doing classes Tuesdays and Thursdays at Core Performance. It's Kore Performance. And the gym is just small, it's unique, it's for athletes, and it's going to be surf specific, but really human specific. And yeah, I think 6 o'clock we'll do kids, and then 7 o'clock I think we'll do adults. But yeah, anyways, make sure you guys check that out, DM me for that information, and yeah, I can't wait to see you guys there.